Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
So, I had no idea for a cold open. He had no idea for a cold open. But tonight we have a product to try. So, the NXT party tonight is being brought to you by Boylan Creamy Red Birch Beer. Boylan Soda, or Bottling Company.
Yeah.
It's a soda, and I'm hoping that it's caffeine free. They make root beer and cream soda also, and those are caffeine
And real cane sugar.
Oh, I'm going to turn that volume down there. That is terrible. Okay, so shout out to Chris.
Chris Mace. Yeah.
The holiday. He gave me and Jerry a couple of bottle openers. And so these are actually twist off, but we figured this would be funner to use this thing. Sweet. See if I can make the garbage can from here.
All right.
Not even close. Not even close. All right, it's kind of red-ish looking.
This is an NXT party. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. Welcome everybody to an NXT party for April 30th, 2020. I'm your host, the Rated R reviewer, Stefan Osborne, joined as always by the General, Jerry Slaughter.
Good evening, wrestling fans.
And tonight, again, in lieu of having any NXT UK wrestling to review, like nothing new.
Nope.
It's all just nothing. So we are inclined to continue with the tournaments. And this week, it was part one. Sort of part two, but officially part one on the network of the NXT, well not NXT, the WWE UK Championship Tournament. Now going into this, all of the first round matches happened either on NXT or at the Download Festival, but this is where we start off in Royal Albert Hall, and it is, I don't know, we get like halfway through it before we get the announcement, but should we talk about it now? Like this is like an inaugural night.
Yeah.
But we don't start with the inaugural. We start with the four quarterfinal matches, and I say we just start with that. Let's start with Jack Gallagher and Zach Gibson.
Yeah.
What did you think about that match?
I thought it was a really great tactical match between Zach Gibson and Jack, and basically we got to see a lot of like what makes Jack one of the best ones in the world and why he actually got brought on to WWE. A lot of his submission type maneuvers and escapes, but there's no escaping Zach Gibson in the long run. The dude is already like universally hated by the crowd there. Like nobody's gotten more heat, I think, in any of the tournaments that we've watched than Zach Gibson.
Sounds like a drink.
Yeah.
Zach and Jack. I don't know. I enjoyed this match. Sometimes I have a problem with the style of either Zach Gibson or Jack Gallagher because it can be very slow and, to me, boring at times. I guess in British culture...
You're not much into catch-as-can chain wrestling stuff.
I am when it's fun and interesting. Somehow, some way, Chris Hero tends to make me forget how boring it can be when they do this stuff for several minutes in a row with nothing actually happening. Somehow he does it.
Mm-hmm.
He makes it interesting. He does locks that blow your mind. You didn't think the body could move that way, kind of thing.
Well, it's also the fact that he's like more or less a super heavyweight and he's pulling that stuff off.
I guess that does help.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, Zach Gibson's taller than Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
Just say that. Just say that. Like it's true. Somehow tonight you find that out. But anyway, let's see. Gibson hits that Ticket to Ride from the corner for a near fall. He does not get like any pinfalls off that Ticket to Ride. Like, that's supposed to be his finishing move, but if you think about finishing moves and whether they're effective or not in all of the pinfalls throughout this tournament, you find out that for him, Ticket to Ride just don't do it.
No.
There's a few guys, every time they hit their finisher, that's the end of the match. There's a few guys that sometimes you'll see somebody kick out of it, but for the most part, that's their finisher. Super kick has now become one of those finishers. Like, it can end a match. Totally can end a match, but also most of the time people just kick out. Because it's a super kick. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, he hits that, but draping out of the corner, like, Gallagher was like going to jump off the middle rope and he kicks the leg out from under him, so he's like sitting there and he just lays this forearm into his head and then grabs him by the neck and pulls him down into that Ticket to Ride. And I'm like, you know what, the match could have ended there and I'd have been satisfied, because that was just like out of nowhere, like a wicked move. But anyway, it does not. He only gets a near fall. See, Gibson counters a triangle hold into a buckle bomb. This was after throwing Gallagher off of him in sort of a bomb-like fashion. Goes over, tries to pick him up, and Gallagher just locks on this triangle. Well, he picks him up and throws him into the buckles, follows him in there just for Gallagher to put the triangle on again and dangle over the top rope. And then he ends up getting thrown, or lets go or something. He ends up on the outside. Let's see. He hits, oh yeah, so now he's outside on the apron. And Gibson is down, and he jumps into the ring over the top rope in one of those Atomico Sentons.
Such a great looking move.
But instead of landing perpendicular across a prone opponent, he lands on him. He's like on his all fours. He lands on his back and then reaches above his head and grabs him, pulls him over, and locks on a sleeper with a grapevine.
That was pretty much, I think, one of the moves of the night for me, because that's one of the very few times where I was like, back that shit up.
And the match could have ended there, and Zach Gibson wouldn't have gone on to several more matches, but instead, I don't know if he got to the ropes or just broke out of it, but let's see. Jack Gallagher hits a suicida, and then goes back into the ring and sets him up in the corner and hits a grit your teeth. Well, basically, he hits it, they say, with one leg, but it's just a running drop kick into the corner, which, I mean, it's pretty devastating enough. You got nowhere to go, man. They hit you and your head just kind of cocks back a little bit of whiplash, whatever. No biggie. See, Gibson counters that headbutt that Jack Gallagher's known for and does that double neck chop. And then grabs him and throws him shoulder first into the ring post. And of course, Zach Gibson's other finishing move, the Shankly Gates, works on, of course, the shoulder. You know what? He has had some success with the Shankly Gates, both within this tournament and outside of the tournament. But I just don't buy it as a legitimate finisher. I just don't. I don't know. I never really bought the arm bar as one. Like, I think Alberto Del Rio and the way that he put that cross arm bar on made it a little bit flashy, but in the long run, it was just this, like, and I know in real life, an arm bar can break your fucking arm. Like, I know that, but in the ring, I don't buy it. Maybe that's part of the reason I've never bought into She Who Must Not Be Named in front of this guy. Ronda Rousey. Anyway. Let's see. How did we finish off this match? Gibson hits a clothesline to turn Gallagher inside out, picks him up into a Ticket to Mayhem, and he hits it on his own out of a tombstone, which is fun. And I call that the Ticket to Mayhem instead of Ticket to Ride, because
James Drake usually sets up the tombstone.
Yeah, he started calling just a regular code breaker a Ticket to Ride, and then they started calling the Ticket to Mayhem with James Drake.
James Drake, yeah.
And then James Drake started doing the move on his own out of, and I think Gibson does too. And so now, I don't know. Never mind. Anyway.
You're rambling.
I am rambling. He goes for a diving headbutt onto Gibson, who counters it with his feet up into the shoulder, immediately into the Shankly Gates, and a tap out. That's how the match ends. It was a pretty cool ending. I like it better than the inevitable dude for some reason jumps down, isn't doing anything, and his head just goes right into their feet. Like, well, what were you trying to do? Because it looked like you were trying to jump head first into their feet. Anyway. Yeah, Gibson wins, moves on. Of course he does. Wink, wink. Of course he does.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What's going on in the chat
Oh,
room?
no, there's just a guy in there acting like an idiot.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, that's it.
David's telling us to twerk.
Yeah.
He said, went
Bit
ahead and gave y'all
of a
the
fruity seems
dislike.
like, but that's his thing, I guess.
Oh, this is the guy that gives us the inevitable dislike. When our videos do get dislikes, it's like one, and it's like every video.
Oh, no, yeah,
I guess
it's usually him.
Well, I mean, thanks for the view.
Oh, yeah, seriously, thanks for sticking around.
There probably is video of me twerking. If you go look,
Oh, when you pretty much dry hump J Muse.
yeah, if you were a friend of mine on Facebook, you would probably be able to go and watch that video.
But you don't have any friends at all, so it's okay.
There are a few people that might be watching this that are friends with me on Facebook. I believe Israel Diaz could go. Yeah, if you want to see me dry humping J Muse, go back on my Facebook into the videos folder, and there's video of me in there on stage with Kevin Smith and Jason Muse. Anyway,
yeah, that's all we're getting.
well, we got Joe Coffey versus Dave Mastiff. I'm super glad that this match happened in the quarterfinals to get rid of one of these big guys.
Yeah,
going
seriously.
into the final four. You know, you kind of want a little bit of a mix. You know, who are we going to get in the finals? Is it going to be big guy versus big guy? Like at the like, no, you don't want them on. You want to get rid of one of them here.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, your thoughts on this match?
You said you actually enjoyed the last man standing match that they actually had. I think it was Cardiff more than this one, but I actually preferred this match. Mainly for the fact that like Cardiff had such not really a predictable ending, but just a screwed up one. But
Twerk says you're welcome, kissy face with the heart, and love you, Jerry, kissy face with the heart.
But I actually enjoyed the physicality in this match, and they both just delivered beatings to each other, and we got to see like Into the Void get completely missed, which was pretty great. But,
it's
like,
always great to see him drop himself on his head.
Yeah, what was really great about it was like Mauro Ranallo at one point was talking about the agility of Dave Mastiff. I'm like, the dude doesn't have any agility. He runs and pretty much trips over himself into a move, and that's it.
There's one thing I liked about Dave Mastiff in this match. Other than the fact that we saw most of his, if not all of his moveset in this match without having to wait so long watching NXT UK to get it, is that it reminded me of how much he actually has progressed because it's been so slow.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, bad note that it's been slow, but progression nonetheless. I remember watching him in the beginning, and we were talking about him much the same way we talk about Piper Niven now, where something's got to change because he looks just clunky enough to be a little bit dangerous considering his weight, compared to, of course, his opponent. When it's a guy like Joe Coffey, don't have to worry about that as much. But some damage gets done because even though Joe Coffey gets the win, he apparently moves on into the the semifinals, fucking pretty damaged up around the abdomen.
Nate Spain says, "Thank God it was Mauro this time calling the matches instead of Michael Cole." Fucking men. Actually, he said Maggie Cole, but I went ahead and changed it to Michael. It's whatever. But
dude, I was so happy to hear Mauro's voice.
Mauro is the voice of NXT. Simple as that. Noah Foster.
Noah Foster 210 on Facebook, or not on YouTube.
On YouTube, yes.
Yeah, where you're watching us right now, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Some, yeah.
So let's see. I like Joe's deadlift German suplex for a near fall, just for Dave Mastiff to turn around and do the exact same thing.
Yep.
There were so many Germans into bridges throughout this tournament. Dude, there's snap Germans.
You'd think you were in Berlin.
Every match in this fucking tournament had at least one variation of a German suplex. Except possibly maybe just a regular German suplex. Even the match we didn't know we were going to get had that awesome... I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, no, I was about to say, like, everything's spoiled. It's 2 years ago.
You know who I'm talking about, where he lets him run chest first into the ropes.
Oh, Pete Dunne, yeah.
Damn it, Jerry. Yeah, that Pete Dunne German, that snap German he does off the ropes, man, it's fucking wicked.
I'm gonna give Toni Storm props. She delivered some pretty sick ones too.
Yeah, a couple of them. But yeah, every match in this show. If I didn't mention a German, trust me, there was a German suplex in there. Anyway, see, Mastiff hits this pop-up European uppercut, which is fine. I like these kind of moves. Definitely not as dangerous as him jumping onto people. Let's see. And Joe dodges the Into the Void, which was the fun spot. And then he hits that double springboard crossbody and goes for an All Raw Best for the Bells and gets a pinfall.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go.
I was about to say, it took a lot more to take down Mastiff in the Cardiff match, so I'll give him kudos on that. But yeah, this is still a solid match between two pretty much super heavyweights. And it was already establishing Joe Coffey to just be a beast in this tournament. So.
And pretty good on the mic. So Kathy Kelly comes out to interview Joe, and he says he's here to win, man, by any means necessary. He says a few other things, and we forgot that he had such a thick accent that it was hard to understand him for a while. It's like, does he do that on purpose now? Is that part of his character?
I'm about to say, we can understand him clear as day now. Maybe his hearing's going away or something. But.
By the way, dude, this Red Birch beer soda, man, is fucking pretty good.
It's tasty.
Got this at Big Lots.
85 cents.
Yeah, it's like $1.25 at Kroger, but Big Lots has it for 85. So
which is crazy because when I was in Toronto, and got this.
God damn it, Jerry!
No,
when we were in Toronto,
when we met Finn Balor,
that one time.
Yeah, that one time, I got the black cherry soda of this brand at Worst when we got the alligator and all the other shit.
Oh man! So was it alligator, and what was the other animal? Kangaroo.
Kangaroo. We had kangaroo.
Kangaroo. Bratwurst, I guess, or just sausage, kangaroo sausage, and alligator sausage.
It was tasty.
Awesome. It was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was it. It was the one that they don't have in Florida. Does Florida have alligators or crocodiles?
They have alligators.
Okay, so then it was crocodile sausage. I figured at some point in my life I might be able to, go down to Florida and have alligator sausage, but.
Yep.
Anyway, let's move on. Flash Morgan Webster versus Jordan Devlin.
Who would have thought about the outcome of this match? Especially now.
Come on, man. You had to know. After the first tournament, you knew that they wanted a high flyer, a pure aerialist in the Final Four.
Yeah.
But at the expense of Jordan Devlin.
In the quarterfinals again.
The only man with more names than me moves in over Jordan Devlin. Fuck it. What did you think?
I thought this was a great match, and Flash Morgan Webster, I don't know if they're just watering him down now or anything, but he actually really impressed me in this tournament. I actually had fun watching his matches compared to now where he just kind of aggravates me. I want him to still do the heel turn is what I want. Once they get back to filming and everything, have managers come back and say the person who attacked him wasn't Gallus, it was Flash Morgan Webster because he was tired of being in his shadow.
So, for those of you not in the know, we were not impressed by Flash Morgan Webster when he debuted on NXT UK.
It took a little bit, even then, when he was in the South Wales subculture with...
He was only impressive as part of the team with Mandrews, who is incredibly impressive himself, which probably sets a bar that's high enough that it's suddenly he's super impressive, but for us, just impressive, something like that. But leading up to him tagging with him, and the first several months of them tagging together was just meh. But then there was that fucking ladder match.
Yeah. Oh, the Four Corners ladder match where they won the belts?
Mm-hmm.
That was an excellent match. No, it was a triple threat match where they won the belts, and then the Four Corners ones where Gallus actually retained.
Oh. Well, okay, so there was the triple threat match. Whatever. Anyway, Flash Morgan Webster versus Jordan Devlin. Let's see. I've got Devlin hitting this amazing running Meteora knee, to Flash, who's sitting on his butt and just sitting up Undertaker style.
He really needs to do that more often. That was sick looking.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like... Remember when John Morrison used to end matches with that sliding knee into somebody sitting up like that?
Well,
that looks like, a knee to the...
It's not even 5 seconds later we roll into something that we're very used to, which is Devlin's greatest hits.
Volume 1.
Mm-hmm.
Uranagi into the standing moonsault. doesn't get a pinfall, but you know, it never
Always
does.
cool to watch.
It was surprising when Volume 2, that was what is now the Devlin side,
Mm-hmm.
that used to never get a pinfall either, but suddenly it got a name and it was now a finishing move.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, back to this match where he doesn't use it.
What would you consider Volume 3? The Spanish fly off the top rope at this point?
Oh, just the Spanish fly.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
usually they're running at
oh.
him thinking that they're going to hit him with a move, and suddenly he takes a couple steps forward and hits him with a Spanish fly.
It's really weird to watch Jordan Devlin in this match or any of the tournaments we've seen so far and realize he's more successful than 85% of the people that are in this tournament now.
Yeah, he never makes it to the semifinals,
Nope.
and he is the Cruiserweight champion. Like, there's an interim championship tournament going on, sure, fine, whatever, but he still holds that fucking belt. He has to, because it's hostage with him, quarantined in Ireland.
Yeah, because it seemingly can't be shipped to the United States. But even then, I don't think they felt right stripping him of the belt because this is circumstances beyond his control.
So Webster shows off here, man. Like, he hits this running elbow into the corner, but then follows it up with this sick high knee that you could hear throughout the, because the acoustics are so great.
Oh, I love this hall almost as much as the last venue that we were at.
And then he does this trifecta where he does 2 tope suicidas, one between the bottom and middle ropes, and then one between the middle and top ropes, and then does it again and does a tope con hilo over the top rope.
That kind of worked.
Yeah, and then throws him back in, only gets a near fall off of it. See, Devlin, meanwhile, chases him up the ropes in the corner and hits him with an avalanche Spanish fly, which somehow Flash Morgan Webster kicks out of it. They get back up, and he super kicks him and still only gets a near fall. Again, super kick.
Great super kick, too.
It is a finisher, but not all the time.
Nope.
See, Webster dodges a moonsault. It was a beautiful moonsault, too.
Yep.
But he just lands on his belly, and then Webster hits, what did he hit? An Eaton rifle.
Yep.
That's where he runs into almost a tilt-a-whirl, but he catches it at the top with a reverse DDT when he comes down. And he got the pinfall over Jordan Devlin.
I'm going to have to look up Eaton Rifle because I'm pretty sure it's probably some sort of probably like a British musket or some shit.
So, that's that. We have one more match in the quarterfinals.
And no one gave a shit about it.
Oh my god. Travis Banks versus Ashton Smith. And I have one note, and that's the end of the match, because at the very least, I tell you how it finished. Other than that,
we couldn't get into this match.
Nope.
Probably because we both really don't care for Travis Banks and Ashton Smith now, let alone back then.
But one of them's got to win and move on. Fucking on, and what the fuck. And yeah, so Travis Banks
Ashton
wins.
Smith actually looked a little more aggressive in this one than he actually does in his other matches, though.
Well, you commented you thought he was a heel going in, but then at the beginning of the match, they actually do the handshake of respect. And after the match is over, after Banks gets the win, handshake of respect. But Banks wins with a slice of heaven and then a Kiwi Crusher and a 1-2-3. I mean, there was stuff in between, just nothing really worth talking about.
Oh, just the guttural screams of Travis Banks as if he had been through a war as he's like pinning Ashton Smith. It was a little bit over the top, but at the same time, it actually made the match somewhat credible, I guess, or memorable in that way. But other than that, no.
Well, speaking of memorable, we are going to set this tournament apart from the one that they had in 2017. There's going to be a buffer match between the end of the quarterfinals and the beginning of the semifinals.
This was a nice little surprise.
We get 3 of the women that are going to be coming into NXT UK shortly. Oh, fuck, I just gave it all up. Toni Storm, Killer Kelly, and Isla Dawn in a triple threat match. Now get this. The winner of the match gets the number 1 contendership, gets to face Shayna Baszler for the NXT championship.
The next night.
When the winner of the men's tournament that we're doing the review for gets to face Pete Dunne for the championship for the UK championship.
Stefan asked, like, how did we miss this match? Like, we weren't covering it yet. He's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're like, somebody faced Baszler for the title? Like, why didn't we know about this? Anyway, this was a pretty good match.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Like, Killer Kelly actually got to do offense and look badass, so that was great for me because I'm a Killer Kelly fan.
He is.
Like, I think she's got all the potential in the world. They start pushing her right. I think they need to put her in Imperium as the female member and have her go after a women's championship.
Sure, cool.
She's already like the ring comp girl. She models all their clothes and everything else. It only makes sense for her to hang out with them.
Well, I noticed two things going into this match. Let's see. DeVee wants Jerry to twerk. Nate Spain says Royal Albert Hall is a beautiful venue. Oh, beautiful, and the acoustics are great. Nate Spain says, "In Mod we trust." Well, your trust was won at least in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Nate Spain says alligator jerky is good.
Yep.
Love to find some alligator jerky. That would be cool. DeVee says, "Jerry, give me the mandible claw." Nate Spain says, "Thank God it was Morrow this time." Oh, yeah. We got that one. Okay,
we got that far, yeah.
Sorry, just trying to keep up with you guys.
Well, that's okay. I'm keeping track, too. And that, if it's something the V say, I'm just kind of scrolling past it and just moving on.
He must be enjoying himself, even if he is just laughing at us, because he's still there. So, cool.
That's cool.
Cool. We aim to entertain. So, there's two things that I noticed going into this match. First, Storm is missing something. And
that ass.
I wrote down Storm's missing her donkey. And Isla Dawn, I guess in this case, is debuting for us. Sort of, not really, but it's kind of a flashback for us because she got rid of it after not long. The undercleavage. Her outfit that's got the undercleavage. I realized during this match why she got rid of that outfit. It was cool looking and sexy, but during some moves where they're grabbing at the waist to move her around, like she was trying to get thrown back into the ring, I think by Killer Kelly at some point in this match, and it just wedged on up there. And
yeah,
thank God she was wearing under like one of those I don't know what they call them.
Yeah,
it's black. It's panties, but not really. It's meant to cut.
It looked mesh.
Shit that they wear under a petticoat. Anyway.
Yeah.
So now we know why she got rid of it. Anyway.
The
match itself.
I'm about to say, if there's anything I can say about Toni Storm and actually give her credit for, it's her German suplexes. Her German suplexes look sick. They are great. They're quick and they're effective.
Okay, so there's a really cool move in this match. It was one of those takes three people kind of thing. Killer Kelly had a wheelbarrow, and Storm does a DDT off of that wheelbarrow onto Isla Dawn. That was really cool. Really cool. Let's see. Storm hits a snap German onto Isla Dawn, and then an air raid crash over her knee, which at this point in her career she was referring to as the Storm Zero.
I'm thinking it was probably like deemed too dangerous of a move, and that's why they went ahead and switched it to the more or less the double arm underhook power bomb she does now.
Son of a bitch, dude. Adam Cole does it and drops a motherfucker on their head on his knee. Like, for her, it's too dangerous. Okay.
Well, for them women folk.
For them women folk.
For the women folk, they have to change it.
So she wins, and she gets a chance at Shayna Baszler, who just happens to be in the crowd.
Yeah.
Look, there she is, smiling. It's one of those few times you see Shayna Baszler smiling, but I think it's more like Predator to Prey smiling.
Yeah, it's pretty much like, I'm going to break you in two.
It definitely is Predator to Prey, because I don't remember that time Toni Storm beat Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship. Just for Baszler to beat her back the next night or some shit.
This was back during when like Baszler was a lot more confident and dominant.
Yep. So to move on, we're going to move on to the thing that we've been like insinuating all night, not really bringing up, but sort of talking about anyway. Triple H comes out, and this is where he gets to announce. And first of all, he says the general manager, which should tip everybody off. He brings out Johnny Saint, and Johnny Saint, in whatever breath he can manage. Holy crap!
Yeah,
he is old.
He might as well have made the announcement. He might as well have made the announcement from the stage. That way he wouldn't have to walk all the way down.
I'm glad they showed that video at the very beginning of this whole tournament of Johnny Saint in the ring at the Royal Albert Hall, like coming off the ropes a little bit. It's like, okay, he is alive. It's not just a bunch of gerbils with a very complicated connects machine under.
It's not the brain inside of a large suit.
So, two midgets in an overcoat. NXT UK is birthed right here.
Yep.
And this basically begins our run on this show. Because we started doing this when NXT UK debuted.
Yep.
Granted, it was several weeks or months after they started taping it.
Yep. Thanks a lot, Cindy G, for tipping us off that this is going to start occurring.
Yeah. So, this is kind of a pivotal moment for us. We just didn't know about it at this point. So, let's get into the semifinals. Flash Morgan Webster versus Zach Gibson. And, yeah, Flash Morgan Webster had to make it to the semis, but he wasn't going to make it through the semis. Sorry about your luck, folks.
We're going to go ahead and say this. Like, Gibson had the easier route going into the finals than his opponent did.
Definitely. Definitely.
Because, like, the quality of opponents, yeah, it was there, but, like, Joe Coffey was just a beast, and he had to go through Mastiff in order to get to where he needed to get to, and that was just a rough match. And even the match between Travis Banks and Ashton Smith, I'm surprised Travis Banks didn't injure himself on the way into the ring or during the match at all, but he had a rough time with him. So for those two, they still already had their match to do, and Zach Gibson versus Flash Morgan Webster, a guy that's half his size and already coming into the match looking injured. Here's easy prey for Zach Gibson.
Yeah, this match worked out well. The two opponents balanced each other out because Flash Morgan Webster had all the fun spots, all the flashy stuff, and Zach Gibson had his role. You know, he had to win this match. Of course, he had to win this match. But I've got Webster with instantly starting this match because Zach Gibson's talking smack to him. Yeah, it was the other thing.
Yeah.
You see, when you see it happen on the phone, suddenly you're like, "Oh, reaction!"
Yep.
But no, it's okay because the YouTube feed.
Yeah.
I'm afraid, guys, you're a few seconds behind us. Let's see. So he starts off the match hot. He hits him with a high knee early and just starts barraging him.
He went in viciously.
Sends him outside, and he comes around the corner off the apron and does a 619 around the post just to grab Gibson up with a Rana and Hurricane Rana him on the outside.
I've only seen him do that one other time, and that was in the match where they won the tag belts.
He has a bunch more offense, and then Gibson catches him up
Zipson.
in the Eaton. There's a name for it now, the Eaton rifle. We had to turn on the subtitles in order to find out what the name of this move was. I was like, is he saying eating a rifle? Like, that's kind of dark.
That's kind
for the name of a move, man.
That's kind of Cobainish.
That was a shotgun. And he didn't do it.
Courtney Love
did. That bitch, Courtney, did.
Carol Baskins.
That bitch, Carol Baskins, did it. From a crib, probably. Anyway, he catches that Eaton rifle mid-move and throws Webster lawn dart style into the top turnbuckle. I thought that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
He also catches that second suicida in the triple tope attempt. He catches that one and does a fucking helter-skelter onto the ramp outside. That
pretty much spells the end for Flash Morgan Webster after that.
It takes him a 9 count to get back in the ring, and as soon as he does, Shankly Gates tap out.
Mm-hmm.
That was the end of the match, and I was like, yep, that's how that should have ended. That was a wicked helter-skelter.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, holy crap. Zach Gibson he's stronger than he looks, folks.
He's in full-on beast mode in this tournament, and I love it. If anything didn't establish Zach Gibson as a star in Europe before these series of matches did.
So before we get to our second semifinals match, Aleister Black and Ricochet are shown in the crowd, and it takes us like 8 minutes to get through that because my network kept fucking cutting the feed.
Mm-hmm.
It would just sit there and load on a black screen.
Oddly enough, that's kind of why we're on a little bit later than we would have been.
I backed out, came back. It'd run for a couple of seconds. Cool. Sit down.
Cool.
7, 8 seconds later, it'd do it again. for a while, and then finally it just came back. I don't know. We thought maybe Vince McMahon didn't pay his bills.
He didn't pay the network fee.
We lost the feed. Travis Banks versus Joe Coffey.
But the reason Ricochet and Aleister Black are in the crowd is the fact that they have their matches the next night.
Yeah. And by the way, Aleister Black is currently the NXT champion. So this takes us back, man. It wasn't.
Oh yeah.
But a couple months later, we started doing this shit. So Joe Coffey comes out holding his ribs, and it's like, okay, Travis Banks is going to move on because it just doesn't make sense to have Joe Coffey versus Zach Gibson.
Because that would have been a little bit too epic.
So he comes out injured. Foreshadowing. Injury, you say. Injury. I've got a few notes here, but what were your thoughts?
This was actually a pretty solid match. Seeing as though like Travis Banks is so injury prone and Joe Coffey came into the match injured, it was kind of a reversal of roles in my opinion. But Joe Coffey got a lot of really great moves in, and so Travis Banks, but still not big on Travis Banks. I don't think I ever will be. Even going back in time, I still can't get behind the dude.
I know, right? He's just so injury prone.
It's not even that. It's just the fact that, yeah, he's got these great kicks. Yeah, he was trained by one of my favorite ECW stars besides Tanaka, but I can't really get behind him.
He has got all of this build up. Like, he's got all of this great music, great Titantron. Like, there's one thing I noticed about Travis Banks during the early days of NXT UK. He had an awfully wicked Titantron compared to these other guys that are just getting stuff thrown together real quick until somebody can work
His
something
has a
out.
buzzsaw cutting his name.
Yeah, and then it has this giant buzzsaw coming down and whoosh, and it's like all this.
It's like, oh, fuck, that's badass.
This guy is going to be very whelming in the ring because he's called the buzzsaw, so I kind of expect a lot of what he does. And he has got like zero charisma, man.
No, he doesn't.
None.
It's like he comes out to the ring looking all menacing and everything, but then he starts wrestling and everything just kind of goes out the window.
He looks like Phineas and Ferb's cousin. But yeah, he has no charisma at all. To me. Some of you might disagree. If you do, put it down in here. Meanwhile, let's see. Coffey hits a pop-up power slam. Like a regular power slam, not like that. Like, what's his name? Braun Strowman does.
Yeah.
He also does a deadlift German for a 2, but it doesn't get a near fall. It's just like right at 2. Banks counters the first All Raw Best for the Bells attempt with a John Woo drop kick, drops him in the corner, and then runs in and does that spring up off the middle corner into the double stomp, but only gets a near fall. And then Banks ducks that double spring off of the corner that Joe does with the crossbody. Well, he ducks under the crossbody and counters an All Raw Best for the Bells attempt, kicking him in the arm twice. Like, he goes for a left-handed, then he turns around for a right. Both times he gets kicked in the arm. And then Travis Banks, like, jumps into a wheelbarrow and rolls him up forward style. They called it the Quesadora roll-up. And gets a pinfall off of a fruit roll-up.
It's a female quesadilla.
It's a perfect way for him to get the win. I mean, on a big guy like him, he might be able to hit a slice of heaven, but he's not going to get the pinfall. And he's definitely not going to hit a Kiwi Crusher.
But here, we are all about the aftermatch.
Oh, yeah, aftermatch here, Coffey just tears up Travis Banks. Knocks him over the head, throws him shoulder first into the ring post, and then hits an All Raw Best for the Bells.
Foreshadowing.
And much like the last match in the semifinals of the first tournament,
we have the face going in completely injured.
Yep. So now we need some time. Well, what are we going to do to fill that time, Jerry?
I don't know. Maybe put on like one of the best 6-man tags ever.
Seriously, I wish. I mean, granted, for all the bullshit I said, I've got so many notes for the actual main event. Like, it's ridiculous. You would think that I like Travis Banks. But anyway, this match, holy shit.
Well, the match had a whole bunch of story to it.
Okay, look. On the good side, we have Mustache Mountain and the Bruiserweight. So we've got British Strong Style versus the NXT mid-card and tag team champions in the Undisputed Era, back when Bobby Fish was injured with a knee injury. So
and long before people start going boom.
So we had the tag champs of Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly and the North American champion Adam Cole versus Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, and Trent Seven.
That's like a takeover caliber match in itself.
Trent Seven back when he felt like he had to try.
Trent Seven back when he could actually move. Even with a knee brace on, I don't think I've ever seen him this active in a match.
So, man, I have so many notes. You guys are going to hate me by the end of this, but I do's what I do.
Well, it was a six-man tag. I miss O'Reilly right now, and this match kind of solidified that. Like, he got a lot of his submission holds in, took a lot of punishment. I think he took the bop and bang better than anybody else in the entire match.
Not just any bop and bang.
Yeah.
This was a triple bop and bang. All three of British Strong Style onto all three of Undisputed Era. And what he's talking about is Kyle O'Reilly taking it and looking like he might be okay for a second, going through the middle rope, like just regular fine. But
falling on the apron.
As soon as he got on the apron, he flare dived into the apron. And then they cut away.
It was just great. It's just good comedy. That's what that guy does. And he sells great in the ring. O'Reilly's my favorite member of the Undisputed Era. And for him not to be around right now, there's glorious absence of it.
See, Nate Spain says CIA. I don't know what that means.
No idea.
Devi says, I got my lotion ready, guys. Okay.
Cool.
I hope you have your tissue box as well.
They're going to be happy tissues.
Something to clean up with. Nate Spain said, I love the backstage interviews with the Undisputed Era after this match and their match the next night. Well, we haven't seen at all, ever. Like, this isn't our second viewing. Like, we have not seen part 2 of this championship tournament night. I guess this makes sense because, since the championship isn't being crowned at the end of the tournament, you have to have a championship match. You definitely don't want to do that to a guy that just went 4 matches against a guy that went 0. Because at the very least, at the end of these tournaments, each guy has had the same number of matches in that night to build up to the final one. Anyway, so Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, Pete Dunne, and the Undisputed Era. My first note was that triple bop and bang, and then I go on for a half a page. Let's see. We see Seven hit that scoop. I call it a scoop-plex. He goes for a vertical suplex, but he scoops him instead of grabbing the side or pushing the hip, and tilt-a-whirls him around, and then hits him sort of a side slam, although their head's going down first. So it's a weird move to name. Does that to Kyle O'Reilly. Then we see the hot tag.
We spent about 6 minutes on that.
Yeah, and then we've got hot tag to Dunne, and then the tag to Strong. So
backstory.
Yeah.
At this point, Pete Dunne had been betrayed by Roderick Strong, and that costed them the Dusty Cup?
Yep. And the title, or no, they might have won the cup but lost the titles. Or no, it was the titles and the cup in the same match somehow. Yeah. That's where he turned and joined the Undisputed Era. See, we see an X-Plex to Adam Cole onto Strong, and got a near fall off of that. So that was probably done still.
Let me ask you a question real quick before we go any more into this. And this is going to be kind of a hypothetical what-if thing. What if Bobby Fish hadn't gotten injured? Do you think Roderick Strong would still have gotten put into the Undisputed Era?
Yeah, it was heading that way.
Okay.
I was watching NXTea at that point. Yeah, I was heading that way. So.
Okay, cool.
I don't think that was... It might have been earlier than they...
Kind of like earlier than the...
Honestly, though, the way that it went down, it was so good, I think that was probably what they had planned. To be fair, I think that was planned. It just so happened he had to move in as a tag partner instead of just moving into the group.
Well, I was about to say, like, NXT, if anything, has gotten really good at taking an injury and, like, either rolling with it or having a backup plan that just worked out just beautifully, so.
Yeah. Let's see. We get a tag into Bate, who hits an exploder suplex to Kyle O'Reilly into Strong in the corner, and then picks up Adam Cole for an airplane spin, and Roderick Strong approaches him. He knocks him down, picks him up for a big swing, along with the airplane spin.
Big strong boy!
Yeah, I think this is where the big strong boy thing was initiated. See, Bate and Dunne do this assisted Tyler driver. So Dunne flips the feet up as the Tyler driver 97 is coming down and does. It should be a backstabber, but it was right at the back of the neck and the back of the head.
Extremely high angle.
And Tyler didn't fall down and do the sit out with this one. He just kind of let it go. But yeah, sweet move nonetheless. Only got a near fall. Somebody broke up that pin. See, Roderick drop kicks Dunne out of midair, who was coming off the top rope. And O'Reilly counters a bitter end into a guillotine. While the guillotine's still on, Pete Dunne makes his way to the corner and tags in, who's at Tyler Bate, who gets on the top rope and breaks up the guillotine by
stomping on his face.
Yeah. Double stomp off the top rope onto his face. That was crazy. See, Adam Cole catches Seven's chop and throws it into Bate. At this point, Seven had done several of these chops, knocking some people for a loop.
Mm-hmm.
But he catches it midair, throws it into Bate, and then super kicks Trent Seven. And I had to pause it there so I could write this shit down. And Trent Seven's face is just like fucking knocked out. He's zoinked. He is zoinked, yo.
His one foot is just kind of cocked upward, like he's about ready to just fall on his ass.
So Pete Dunne hits an enziguri onto Adam Cole, taking him down. Strong hits that suplex where he flips him over his head onto Pete Dunne, taking him down. And then Tyler Bate runs off the ropes into that Peter Pan suplex, taking out Roderick Strong. And then Tyler Bate bombs O'Reilly off of an armbar attempt. And then now everybody's down. Like Kyle O'Reilly runs at him and tries to do an armbar while he's standing, and he just holds him, picks him up, drops him, and then everybody's on the mat.
It's one of those instances where Pete Dunne kind of like telegraphed a maneuver and switched right into that.
Let's see. Trent Seven gets up and hits a 7-star lariat onto Strong, gets a near fall, and then Undisputed Era comes in and gets him with that axe and smash. So an axe kick to the back of the head, and then double kicks by Roderick Strong and O'Reilly. It might have been a high knee. Anyway, follows it up with the last shot, and only gets a near fall. Somebody breaks that shit up.
Pete Dunne did.
And then Adam Cole counters the bop with a super kick. So no more bop and bang.
Nope.
And then it somehow ends up on the outside where Pete Dunne does a moonsault off the middle turnbuckle to the outside, taking out Cole and Roderick Strong. Meanwhile, inside the ring, they kill Kenny.
Yeah, they kill Kyle. They kill him hard. Dragon suplex it with the Peter Pan lariat.
Well, first he gets hit with a 7-star lariat and then gets picked up into the
Dragon suplex.
The double chicken wing.
Yep.
And then Peter Pan lariat by Tyler Bate off the ropes. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. And of course, British Strong Style's gonna win here in fucking London, man.
Shaving a haircut, 2 bits.
So anyway, Shawn Michaels comes out. Who'd have fucking thought Shawn Michaels was gonna be here?
And the crowd serenades him and his
wonderful own music. Yeah, after the music turns off, the crowd keeps singing. And everybody knows the lyrics. I don't even fucking... I wouldn't have been able... I'd just been like, yeah, da, 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 da.
You really don't know Shawn Michaels' theme song?
I'm just a sexy boy.
Sexy boy.
I didn't know there was that follow-up there anyway. I thought it was just do. So he comes out and says he wants to talk about, these guys in the future in NXT UK, but can't help mention the past. Back in 1991, he was in the first WWF match in Royal Albert Hall they ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So, on to the finals. Travis Banks versus Zach Gibson, who comes out, and Travis Banks comes out, and he is all taped up. This is the Travis Banks Jerry said.
Yeah, that we know so well. I think this set the tone for the rest of Travis Banks' career in NXT UK.
And he's got a huge target on a shoulder that Zach Gibson exploits with the Shankly Gates that he has won 2 matches in a row with. Actually, I'm pretty sure he won the first round match with the Shankly Gates. So
even before then, he makes sure that that hits the steps at least once.
Yeah. Oh my God, the steps and the barricade. That's actually my first note. I'll drop it right now. Outside, Gibson gets him up into a back arm bar or a hammerlock. And he picks it up and drops it on the barricade, then picks him up, takes him quarter way around the ring, and throws him shoulder first into the steps. That's how he starts the match.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the match?
I thought the match was actually pretty solid. We already knew who was gonna win just from like Zach talking about his like huge win at the NXT or the UK tournament, and he wouldn't shut up about that until he won the tag belts a couple months later. So, but even then, watching the build and watching Travis Banks try to fight back and everything, I think what they were trying to do with this match was pretty much mirror the Tyler Bate Pete Dunne match in the inaugural championship tournament, where Tyler Bate came in completely injured from Pete Dunne just destroying him, and now you have
Travis Banks.
Yeah, Travis Banks completely tore up, and you think he's mount some sort of comeback and and beat Zach Gibson. This is the Empire ending, folks. It doesn't happen that way.
A year and a half after the first tournament, and not only is Pete Dunne kind of a good guy, he is aligned with the dude he beat for the title.
Yeah.
The dude that he beat up the night or the championship night that Tyler Bate got crowned inaugural NXT champion or UK champion or WWE UK champion.
And then they went on to have the match of the year for NXT at that next takeover.
And now they're bros.
Yeah.
So he's
They're
a
cool
babyface now. You can't have babyface winning this match and moving on. You had to have Zach Gibson. And to be quite honest, Zach Gibson had the most heat from the crowd. Granted, it was all boos and chants of if you hate Zach Gibson, stand up. If you hate Zach Gibson, sit down. Eventually it evolves to they just want to take their shoe off so they don't have to do anything else and hold it up. Like, these people hate Zach Gibson.
And
but
it's
he gets
wonderful.
the most heat. Yeah. He loves it. We love it. We love to hate him. This is how it goes.
He is the stereotypical heel. He is the prototype of all heels these days. He is what you need to be over and hated at the same time.
But despite his arm, Travis Banks shows off. Gibson's running into him in the corner, and he takes him out with that penalty kick trip that he does that sends Zach Gibson face first into the middle turnbuckle and follows it up out of the corner, running in for a basement dropkick into Gibson's back. Let's see. Then he hits a backwards jump off of the corner, off of the middle turnbuckle, where he double stomps Zach Gibson's back when he's down on all fours. And let's see. Gibson eventually gets back on top because of the shoulder, and hits a ticket to mayhem, gets a near fall off of that. He goes to throw Banks shoulder first into the barricade again, but instead Banks runs and jumps off the barricade, jumps backwards, and hits him with a slice of heaven. Best slice of heaven he hits all night. Fortunately, it's outside, and you can't win the match out there.
Nope.
Both of them take a 9 count to get back into the ring, and now it's time for the breakdown.
Never gonna get it, never gonna get it, never gonna get it, never gonna get it.
This is your bona fide traditional breakdown. We're talking the trading of the yay versus the boo strikes.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes on for almost a minute, probably. Yep. And they vary it up. Starts off slow, builds up some speed, then they start hitting different strikes. But they're just trading. Eventually, Gibson gets up and slaps Travis Banks' nose sideways, dude.
Yeah.
This is the loudest move of the entire show, the whole night. And we saw British Strong Style. This is the loudest slap we get, and it's into Travis Banks' face.
Mm-hmm.
This sets off a smack fest.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds dirty, but yeah, they start trading slaps. I don't think the crowd's doing the yay or boos at this point. They're still shocked by that initial silencer. Holy crap, man. I think this was the point where the announcers finally acknowledged the acoustics of the room.
Yep.
Everybody heard that. Banks hits a Kiwi Crusher. Or no, he goes for a Kiwi Crusher, gets countered with I call it the shoulder screw whip. It's like a dragon screw shoulder whip, where Gibson spins the arm around and then pulls it down onto the mat, shoulder first.
Mauro Ranallo called it divorce court because he was separating the shoulder from the rest of the arm.
And he goes for the Shankly Gates. Banks gets out of it, and then goes for a slice of heaven, which is ducked, and immediately into the Shankly Gates. Banks gets out of it both times. But He gets out the second time by crawling to the ropes, and so Zach Gibson puts the Shankly gates on through the ropes, like in the ropes. And the ref starts counting, but actually Travis Banks pulls him through and knocks him to the outside, gets up and runs the apron and does that double stomp off the apron. And let's see. Roll it. No, double stomp off apron. There we are. Get back in the ring, and he hits a slice of heaven, but doesn't get all of it. Only gets a near fall. And then Gibson goes with a roll up, but puts his feet on the ropes. Like he stacks them up, but he's got his feet on the middle rope. And the ref counts it right as he's going for 3, or sees it right as he's going for 3. So he doesn't get the pinfall there. And then gets up into a Kiwi Crusher, but kicks out, man, right before 3.
Mm-hmm.
And rolls outside. Gibson's like, no. He's shaking his head as he's rolling outside. He's like, no more of this. And he's baiting in Travis Banks, who goes for a tope suicida, but he gets blocked with a double throat chop right across the throat. Let's see. And then he throws him in the ring, hits him with a helter-skelter, but only gets a near fall. Goes right into the Shankly gates, though. And Travis Banks is going for the ropes, but he does this little spin shuffle, steps over him, back in the middle of the ring. Shankly gates still on. Travis Banks taps out, and we have a winner, the guy we knew.
And the crowd is just going apeshit at this point.
And Liverpool's number 1, and soon to be not the WWE NXT UK champion. Sorry,
Zach Gibson. Yeah.
He got his time in the sun. He even had Triple H and Johnny Saint and, for some reason, Shawn Michaels come out. And I know backstage there's a reason for that, but still.
What I really don't like about this whole thing is, yeah, Tyler Bate, he got a freaking belt. They didn't even have a trophy or anything for this thing.
Nope, just their congratulations. They come out and raise his arms, and none of them actually do it because he is so much taller than Shawn Michaels and especially Johnny Saint.
Yeah.
Triple H is probably the closest, but he was on the end, on the other side of Johnny Saint. So he's just, me.
I was about to say, I think they're trying to make Zach Gibson look even bigger, and sure enough, they did it that way.
And if the crowd could hate him more, he's going to try for it. He goes for a microphone, and he tries to say some stuff about him being the number 1 over this roaring boo of the crowd when the music hits. And Pete Dunne comes out. And he comes to the ring with the belt in his mouth, gets in the ring, holds it up right next to Zach Gibson.
Yeah.
How did I lose that? Right next to his face. And Zach Gibson just starts talking smack.
Yeah.
And you can tell he's so good at it. Pete Dunne gets furious and gets up at him, but Triple H breaks him up. And this is going to happen tomorrow night. For us and you guys, it's going to happen next week. But meanwhile, that brings us to the end of the main event. And here on the NXT party tonight, we're rating the main event using good old-fashioned
creamy red birch beer.
Creamy red birch beer. So, out of 5 bottles of birch beer,
that's it. Established 1891.
all you NXT members out there, if you want to give us your out of 5 ratings for the main event here, you can drop it into. If you watched it, maybe you didn't watch it. If you remember it, drop it into the comments. Meanwhile, Jerry, out of 5 bottles of drink, out of 5 bottles of soda, what do you rate this match?
We're going to say 3.5. It was a solid main event. We saw the end of a tournament that was pretty, from what I gathered, the first part of it was, slow moving and crap. But this one has actually moved pretty smoothly, I think, short of our technical difficulties. But the match between Travis Banks and Zach Gibson, we knew what the outcome was going to be, but it was still an entertaining match to watch. And the rest of the night was actually pretty solid, too. So I'm going to go ahead and boost it up a quarter, but put it 3 3/4.
I think you're right about this match. It was pretty damn good. I don't know if I would call it really good. I don't know if I would be broaching on great territory with this match.
No.
It was definitely the best match I've ever seen out of Travis Banks.
It wasn't Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate by any means.
And you know I'm all about the story. I'm going to give it an extra quarter because of the story and the fact that it really is the best match I've ever seen out of Travis Banks.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start it at a 3 3/4. And for the first time ever, I'm going to give this match an entire half star or half bottle off the back of a great show.
Yeah.
Like, there was only one match in this entire show that I really was just like, there's the ending. And that was the first Travis Banks match. Yeah, but even that one, like, it's okay. It's because it wasn't that long.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to have that match because it didn't bore me or anything. It just, nothing exciting really. This was a great, and probably because of the 6-man tag match, honestly. That was such a good match. I'm going to land this at 4 1/4, and I don't fucking know why.
Well, Nate Spain gave it a 4, so.
Nice. Oh, the backstage interviews.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't think we saw the backstage interview with the Undisputed Era.
No.
We saw the, no.
They don't. I don't think they had it on this one yet. That or it's just something that got cut out for time restrictions to just
possibly. This was
down.
like a 2.5-hour show with really no breaks. There were a couple of commercials, but they were old ones, but not so old. It was like, huh?
I was like, why? I'm like, why are they doing a biopic on the Hardys? Matt's already going. Oh yeah, this is before he left.
But even still, most of the shots in that were of Jeff Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
Like. They don't give a crap about Matt. The only reason they cared was because he had that gimmick that they wanted.
Broken! Actually, no. At that point, he was woken!
So anyway, I don't know how it landed at 4 1/4, but I'm going to give it 4 1/4.
Actually, I'm going to go ahead and go up to even 4 just to help out because it was a pretty awesome show.
I mean, just the way he worked over that shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And still, the comeback. And there were very few times in that match that I saw Travis Banks overextend his ability to use that shoulder or that arm.
Oh, that I got to see Killer Kelly. So, yeah, that was good.
So, great story. You got to see Killer Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
So, we landed somewhere at great. At or just above great.
Yep.
So, that brings us to the end of this episode of the NXT Party. Thank you guys for joining us. We don't have anybody up on the big screen. Normally, we'd have somebody helping us review, but either nobody wanted to watch or nobody could. Or
Chris May says he'll be with us next week.
It happens, but it doesn't have to. You could help us review this shit. We tell you.
Especially you, Nate. You're always here now.
Next week, we are going to be watching the final part of this whole tournament. And that is where Zach Gibson will face Pete Dunne. But we're also going to see Toni Storm face Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship.
Yeah,
we're also going to see
a
bunch of other matches.
I think it's a triple threat match between, what was it? Oh, Nate Spain says good night. Good night.
Night, Nate.
But we also get to see a triple threat match between, I think it's Aleister Black, Ricochet, Velveteen Dream, and EC3. So that would be pretty entertaining.
Might be a tag match between the two versus the two.
Which is possible too, yeah.
Because I think at this point EC3 and Velveteen Dream had some shit going on. This might have been when Velveteen Dream or EC3, one or the other one, walked out on the match.
Yeah.
I think I remember that vaguely. Anyway, if you'd like to join us on a future episode of the NXT Party, you can find me on Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN. Or if you just want to look me up, it's at Stefan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. As always, the R stands for restricted. You can also find the gentleman on Twitter.
First off, Nate, whenever you want to join on to the show, just drop us a line and we will get you on here. So you can find me on Twitter at general_JSJ, my Facebook group Armbar, all capital, ARMBAR, exclamation point. Also on Aftermatch Wrestling and Facebook, we have the group and Aftermatch_Wrestling that Colin Andrew runs on Instagram, and Aftermatch Rest on Twitter, where we take the ling out of wrestling.
Whatever the fuck that means.
You can also find us both on Instagram. I'm at _gentleman_slaughter.
And you can find me at osborne.stefan, because that's the one they gave me. I didn't have a choice in the matter.
Facebook did it for you.
Dude, I would have gone with just the same one, Stefan R. Osborne. It's real easy. And, yeah, as far as you guys know, it stands for restricted. Anyway.
It actually stands for Rebecca, but we're going to move on.
You can also find us on Patreon if you want to help the channel out at Stefan R. Osborne. But honestly, if you just have a few seconds, you can help the channel. If you like the video, if you were entertained by us, do us a favor. Click the like button over here. And if you like all of our videos, we say do yourself a favor. Click the subscribe button. That way, YouTube lets you know when all our videos come out. And if you want to catch us live, like, we understand if you're on demand. We love our on-demand viewers. Love all of you guys, everybody that watches live or after the match. You know, that's what the whole channel's based on.
Yep.
But if you want to catch us live, hit that bell and your phone may let you know when we go live. And if you can watch us.
Until I go back to work, we'll probably be around the same time that we are right now.
Yeah, a couple more weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So join us next week for part 2 of the second tournament for the NXT UK. WWE UK, god damn it.
Well, now we're going to be in NXT UK territory since it's been for like established now. So it'll be NXT and NXT UK. So
yeah, and if you still are with us and have another few seconds, click that share button and help us grow the channel.
Mm-hmm.
Share us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Because if you have friends that like to watch NXT UK, they probably would like watching us talk about it. Because I got to admit, this guy's pretty funny.
Yeah, I tend to be on occasion. This was good shit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was pointing at the me on the screen that's showing us.
Oh, okay. Oh.
For the General Jerry Slaughter, I'm the Wizard of No DQ, Stefan Osborne. Thank you for having a spot of NX Soda with us. And we will see you NXT time.